is the Sifra Tzniuta, and so a little water's run under the bridge over here. So we're going to read back once again the pasuk that is really given to us for the Sifra Tzniuta. Difficult to understand all of these psukim, and then we're taking them one at a time. Krinin Yud Eloah Yud Detah. So we read it like this: there's a Yud up above and a Yud down below. Let's take the word V'yitzer. And he said V'yitzer, he says Hashem Elokim, so it goes on with the phrase Hashem Elokim as Adam. In that phrase also, you didn't need the two Yuds, so why do we have two Yuds? Yud Eloah, Yud Tator. Now he's been explaining, at least the best I can remember, that one is referring to Eric Anpin, one of the Yuds is referring to Zerah Anpin, and I guess the relationship between the two. So now we're going over here and continue on, and he says, Yud Eloah, Yud Tator, and then in between them, there's another phrase which we have in parenthesis up here. Let me see, I'm sorry I didn't get it on the page. And can we make it any closer? Get a little easier to see. He says, so it's also the word Yehi. Yehi really is Yud Eloah, Yud Tator, the same idea again. Zer Anpin is the second Yud, or let's say the upper Yud is Eric Anpin. Yud Tator, and there's a Hey, Begavahu, in between them there's a Hey. Klal of the Shlimo. He says the concept of Hey is the category of perfection or completeness. Shalim v'lo lokal star. Well, it is complete, and he had explained, I guess, that this is Zer Anpin being born out without any visible female counterpart. Shalim v'lo lokal star, but not in every side. So he says, so a star. And he says, is Aker Mahai Aser Shmado, so this name is uprooted, could be uprooted from that place. And it is planted in another place. And it's the phrase that we had in Hashem planted. Hashem, but it's not just Hashem, it's Hashem Elokim. So over there you had a question of what Shlimo looks like, and Shlimo, I think, refers to Hashem Elokim. Let's come over what we're doing right now is we're trying to find the Makaros of these different ideas, which rabbi said what and when. So let's go over here and let's look at number, I think we're going to start at number Yud. Hopefully it will be helpful to us if we bring this down even lower. Focus it up as best I can. Rabbi Shem Mamari Rashbi, he writes, Shabir Kan Bezel Dashono, Hashem Begavaihu. So, the letter Hey in between them. Hey Shebei Yud, the Yud. This is the Hey that's between one Yud and the next Yud. So, aromas, the Ruach Chaim, Yotzim Mechotim, Eric Anpin. That's a little detail here. He says that this is a Ruach Chaim. Where's a Ruach? The Ruach is a wind, right? It's the breath itself. We breathe. You have a question of what causes us to breathe. We breathe. There's an inspiration there. It's coming from Eric Anpin, and it goes into Zer Anpin, and this is in the supernal worlds, the worlds that are not physical. Rebbe Edra Rabbi he says Chutma hu Pardashka. The word Pardashka goes along with the word Chotem, which means nose. The Bay Nashiv Rucha Dechai, because in that Pardashka, that's where breathes out or comes out the Ruach of life, the Zer Anpin. The Zechav Nishba, the Pardashka, so this is where it says it breathes or it blows out through the nose. The Katana the Kaman, we're going to see this later on in Sif Aleph. The Zel the Shona, Nishba the Pardashka, the Atika, the Ze'erich, the Anpin. So it blows from the Pardashka, the Atika, which is a word for Eric Anpin, and it blows into Zer Anpin. Now the same thing is happening by us, is that in some way there's an Eric Anpin aspect that is blowing into us, and that's the place where the origin of breath comes from. So he said the Anpin, below Ruchel lo is Kaim, and if there's no breath, when you stop breathing, when your body stops breathing, you're no longer alive. V'rei od l'cholon, we'll see later on, Bezel Dashana, Rucha, the Nukvin, the Pardashka, it's a ruach that comes from the nostrils of the Pardashka, the Nafik La'achia. that goes out to what? To the brother? I'm not sure what Achia means here. Adgan. V'yotze b'bina shebekeser, and it comes out, now this is a little more complicated too. Where does the ball start rolling? He says, looking at Keser, in 10 spheres of Keser, it comes out from the bina of that Keser. So there's also going to be a bina similar to that in Chochmah, and bina going, the bina of bina, also all the way going down the line. Ruach Chaim Chayim Melech. This is the ultimate life force, the breath of life. Let's try the breath of life. Chaim Chayim Melech. Tehillah, it's also called by the name of prayer. My prayer, somehow prayer, Tehillah, has something to do with breath. He says that I will nose to you. So how is that? If from my nose comes the breath of life. Rabbi says, he says, I am praying in the direction of that, of he who the master of the nose. This referring to Eric Anpin, ultimately referring to Hashem Yisbarach. So he said, the Baal Chotim ani mischanen, that I seek his chain. Behind it, so that's the same idea. My prayer, what I seek from you, has to come from my nose in some way. So try to understand this. Is not so easy for me. Ad kan Rei Gam Benezer Yisrael, that Sefer, he says, Shabir Kan Al Pi Sharma Mari Rashbi exclaims according to that, and he says Sham V'Zel L'Shona. Let's get a quote on that. He said Ki Bi Yehi, that word Yehi, Haim Habes Yudim, which we talked about before, which was with the Yotzer. The Yetzer, the same ones, the Atik, the one refers to Atik, and the other one refers to Zer Anpin. Then you have this phrase, Vehei Bagavah, then you have an A, Hey in between them, is Bina de Keser, Nukva de Pardashka, which is the Bina of the Keser, which is the Nukva de Pardashka, that is the place of the female aspect, or the opening of the nose. Shehi Ruach HaChaim, which is the breath of life, that's going to call to Zer Anpin Ad Kan. Now I realize that I kind of forgot how this works, and so I'm going to go back up to the blurb, or excuse me, not the blurb, but the explanation. We'll pick up number Kaf. So number Kaf says Shalim V'lo L'Kol Star. What does that mean? It's complete. Comes out complete. We have this breath coming into it now. It's breathing life, and it's alive, but it's not completely complete. Amnam Av Shemilas Yehi, Romas the Yisod Shlemus. It really is a reference to Shlemus. The Shlemus is there Anben Kamokashis Boyer, as we explained. Nim calls Zechab Ein Kam Shlemus Gemora, Bakal Tzadadim. It's not a complete Shlemus like we see in all of its sides. Why he used the word sides, I'm not sure, but because the Nukva is on his backside, I'm not sure. There's no mention of the word of the female aspect of Zer Anpin, but Midas Yehi, there's nothing there. Zer Anpin, the Gamre below Nukva. So this is number 21. We'll pop down below here and see if we can pick it up. And he says, let me see if we get better focus that way. So he says, Rei b'shar ma'amari rashbech of shabir kam v'zel d'shonu l'ficha v'she'enim mazkir b'midas yehi. So once we have the word yehi, you only have the Zer Anpin and Eric Anpin and Zer Anpin, with a hey in between. He says, when you look at the Zer Anpin, so he says, she'ein mazkir doesn't mention the nukva Zer Anpin. The nimsiki Zer Anpin, Eilu Shalom the Gamri is not completely and totally together then. Ki Shalom the Gamri, Hukashanizka Zer Anpin Uba Zugo. So it's always Zer Anpin and his female part. For Indian Shabir Bashar Mari Rashba, as we said over there, La'ela La'avai Shalim Besitroi. He's Shalim Besitroi. What does that mean? He says, Ki Bakal Makom Shanizka Shem Kavaya. Who's there on? Which is there Anpin? He is Shalom Bazugo. His completion comes when he's male and female. What does that mean? Adkan. So there's where we're at right now. We're going to skip number 22, so I'm going to read after 21 up above. Let's go up there just do a little bit more. And let's do from number 22. Oh, that's from 21. Okay. So he says, V'ha'inyan, and let me write it down a little bit. Here's 21. V'ha'inyan merumah b'lashon ha'pasuk, ki hinei dehila amar b'pasuk tedja ha'aretz desha. That's the first thing he says. Let us bring forth this desha. Tedja, cause her to come forth. Let's look down here at number 22. I'm trying to remember that I do count 21, so I'm going to skip down to number 23. Let's go anyway, so I don't get too confused. So it doesn't say the word Yehi. So over there it's talking about a time of Ibur where there's no revelation of Zer Anpin at all. And he wasn't complete in any way at all. So now we get to number Kof Gimel. Number Kof Gimel says this, down here at the bottom. So it says, Rei b'shar ma'amari Rashbi. When it says that, the word Tedsha, at this point, we're not seeing the revelation of Zer Anpin at all. But the Fichof Lom the Ame Yehi Adkan, so therefore it doesn't say Yehi. So he said that what we had that before, the swarming on the land, lo shalim, but when it goes out, it's not complete. I mean, that rather refers, I think, to birth. So he said Yehi lo kasiv, it doesn't say Yehi. V'rei mashin is boyer sham, so we went over that b'lashon kan. And let's see if we can read just a little bit more from number Kaf Gimel. V'achar kach be'ez ladis v'yitzias Zer Anpin, coming out of the womb of Ima. Az amr b'pasav Yehi. So then it says it's for Yehi. Ki atar nigdar b'nishlam Zer Anpin v'lekach. So therefore you have the word Yehi, the whole Yersida, the fish Yehi, Bechinas, what does it mean? Bechinas Shleimus. Ak im kol zeh, lo choisach Shleimus the Gamer canal. He originally came out, he had no female part. He said eitz osipri. So we have these different words here. Below hiskir eitz pri, but it doesn't say the eitz free, the fruit bearing tree. Kamosha hiskir kan b'pasafakodim that we had before. Ella hainocha b'shum de be'osipri. When you have the phrase making fruit, that refers to the male counterpart. The male, which is who's Zer Anpin, he's making fruit. V'an pri and v'eitz pri, but the word eitz pri, the fruit bearing tree. Hu hanukva, that means that, in other words, he carries the seed for it, but she produces the fruit. Okay, now, so the first thing is, as it comes out, is revealed, Zer Anpin, nigra ba'osa pri, v'chadayim lo nisgalsa hanukva hanigra eitz pri. Let's go to number Kaf Dalet. Because I got us into this, I have to bring it around. 1 second, let me make sure that I got everything working right. Okay, so continuing on, let's look at number Kaf Dalet down below. Kaf Dalet says like this: Rei b'shar ma'amari Rashbi l'chalom shabir kan v'zel l'shono. Nimsach the Chamira zu. What Amir we talking about? V'yom elokim taja haaretz dasha. That particular phrase, bring forth the dasha. Nizgalo du partsufim. Over here you see that there's a revelation of two different partsufim besod Iver in the concept of Iver. So that is what Eber? We're talking about pregnancy inside of Bina, Besod Hey, which can also be made into the two letters Dalet and Vav. Vehem Eitz Pri the Keva B'Dechila. So here's the Eitz Pri. That's the tree that bears fruit. The Keva B'Dechila, where you have the Keva first. V'achar Kach Eitz Ose Pri Docher. Then after that, it mentions the male element, which is giving the possibility for, or I guess, the seed. Because why? Because they're really like the antlers or antennae of a grasshopper. And then, in other words, they're very, very fine. There's almost nothing to see there. And then they uprooted, and then they go out. So the male comes out first. So therefore, lo nizker b'yitzias ela osa pri. So therefore, only the male aspect who makes the pri, that's the one who's mentioned. Shu hazachar zer anpin. The momentum in zer anpin, then from zer anpin, yotzach on the keva, she actually is a part of him and comes out from him ad kan. So just like a side piece, which we count, then she's just a dot. Now let me read it again because it's important to me. He said, what's a seller, he says. Seller is just a nekuda. All she is a dot. Nivnis, but then she's built up from that level of a dot. Kumas on the keva ba'ach zer anpin, in the backside of zer anpin. Al yedecha ba'oras zer anpin kanoida, because of the light that comes into her through zer anpin. V'nimseki mandacha b'yatzach of the keva, so comes up from her. Then comes out this female part. Rei be'etz chaim, look over there in the Eitz Chaim. So explain over there. We'll see more about this. On the phrase ad kad shama isnata, until over there it's planted. And so we'll see how that goes. Today is the 23rd of Nisan, 5784.